So the M1 Machete here has been cleaned up with a bit of steel wool. It's nice, ready to go, ready to keep working. And I mentioned the weight before was 500 grams. I want to make a few more quick points about that. There might be people out there thinking it's a bit too heavy to carry. You can think what you like, but that's 500 grams of a single piece of steel that ain't going to break, ain't going to bend. It's going to chop all day, every day for you. Now, I want to compare that to, for example, this machete. You might be familiar with one like this, fairly cheap from eBay. That weighs around 150 grams. That's what I'm going to call a lightweight, a typical lightweight camping style machete. If I'm going to do solid work out on the farm or in a survival situation, I'm always going to pick up this machete first. And that pretty much says it all. I'm going to pick that up ahead of that one. That's 500 grams of solid steel that ain't breaking, ain't bending. That one there has got cutouts. It may look fancy, but you don't want that. That just saves steel and makes it cheaper. You want as much weight there as possible. It's got a nice curved blade, sure. Now, I want to compare this machete, the M1, which I've showed you, to this one. Now, this one may be the best of both worlds because they're two good examples of machetes you can pick up here in Thailand. This one here, again, single piece of steel. This one is like the M1 on steroids. That's around 750 grams of steel. Even longer, well, the blade's the same length, but it's even thicker, even stronger. It's going to survive a nuclear, that one's going to survive a nuclear war and keep working for you. But this one, it's even on steroids. It's got a longer handle. Now this one at 750 grams, I must admit, it's a bit heavy to carry in a typical sort of camping scenario, sure. The longer handle means it's got a good two-handed grip, and that's what it's designed for because it's a bit heavy for a one-handed action. Even there, I can really feel that in my wrist, in my hand. But the two-handed action for a kick-ass, powerful machete that's going to work and chop all day, there it is there. Bit heavy for a camping scenario, but you know, you've got the best of both worlds there. If you think that's too light or that's too heavy, that's 500 grams, and I picked this specifically to market because it's the best compromise. 500 grams, I'm going to tell you, I can vouch for most average men out there, that's going to be fine for you to wield and chop pretty much all day. That's what I'm going to say. If you're a bigger, stronger man, then that's fine. It's going to be even more easier. Even the 500 gram M1, you could in a pinch use two hands, but it's fine for one-handed. Okay, so there it is. If you think 500 grams is too heavy, don't come complaining to me when you find your lightweight cold steel or whatever cookery machete you buy doesn't do the heavy work for you all day, because that I can vouch for. I can vouch for the M1 500 grams of solid steel. As an option here in Thailand, there's a small one there, still a single piece of strong steel, 150 grams. That weighs about as much as this, but see the size difference? Just goes to show how that is so strong. Single piece of strong steel, only 150 grams, even smaller but the same weight as this one here. So this one is like your typical lightweight camping style. That's fine for 1 or 2 days. You know, it might do a bit of work, a bit of chopping and so forth, but if you really want to do kick-ass work, real world survival in a real world environment out there, not a fake TV show, that's what you're after, and that's what I can vouch for. A heavy duty machete, the best compromise between that really heavy one, which was 750 grams, just like that, two-handed action, which is what you need because it is too heavy for one hand. So, and that's just the baby version, which is an option. So there's typical heavy duty machetes you can buy here in Thailand. There's the M1, which I promote and I can sell very cheap, around 25-30 bucks. I forget the actual price on my online store. Cleaned up, no rust. You got to keep it oiled, keep it as dry as possible, as clean as possible. It will rust like many tools out there. That's why I prefer stainless steel knives and so forth, especially in wet environments like Thailand. But that's fine. Many carbon steel knives will rust anyway, so you've got to look after it. And the cordage, again, is there, the hollow handle to wrap around your wrist like that, so it won't slip out of your hands. Nothing fancy about it, no fancy handles, fancy features, but that's what you want. It's going to beat any machete out there. It's going to work all day, every day, doing those two top survival skills for you. Building shelters, cutting small trees, branches, poles, sharpening poles and so forth to build shelters and creating fuel for a fire, betoning, chopping wood, tinder and so forth. If you've got fuel for a fire, you can then cook and boil water if you've got the metal container. So there's 2 to 3 of your top survival skills covered. One last point about these 2 machetes. You can see the different profiles. Nice curved blade there for cutting power. You've got the bulge out the end which gives you the weight for chopping. That's what the bulge out there is, to give you that weight for chopping. A straight blade is fine. Most branches and trees you cut are smaller diameter and curved. You can get the angles and cut just fine with a straight blade, which surprised me. I always thought you need a curved blade, but the straight blade's fine. The slightest drawback about this is the fact that when you baton, it goes at an angle, but you can still baton, you can still get the job done just fine. And the last key specification I need to talk about is the length of these blades are around 10 inches long. Okay, so 10 inches, first of all, is fine as far as the length is concerned for doing heavy work. That's long enough, a bit more compact. But the real point is, at 500 grams, which is around 1.1 pounds, in a 10-inch blade, it's going to be at least as strong, if not stronger than most machetes out there, where they might be 13, 14 inches long. The longer you get, it's going to get thinner and potentially weaker and not as strong. It's going to be inch for inch strong, or if not stronger than most other machetes out there. This is 6 millimeters thick at the handle, going down to about 3 millimeters thick at the very tip. So that's the other key specification right there. Very, very strong. A 10-inch blade is enough to do your heavy work, a bit more compact to carry. There it is, typical machetes you can buy in Thailand. The one that I'm marketing, the best compromise is 500 grams, one-handed action. If you want to go kick-ass on steroids, 750 grams, just like that, a two-handed action. So pretty much they're the machetes in Thailand. And just to reinforce my M1 Machete, just like that.